Hi, JX here from New Leadership. I'm with Andrew Bell, CEO of Ray White Surfers Paradise Group, a person that doesn't need a big introduction. So I'm going to go straight to you, Andrew, and say, how are you, mate? Hello.
Okay, how are you? Lovely to spend some time with you. One of my favourite topics, leadership.
Yeah, well, we're both up here on the coast, and I thought I'd take the opportunity. I could have come in and saw you, but I know you're a busy man. Mate, can you give us a quick overview of your, I guess, your history in real estate? How long? I mean, it's 40 years plus now. You were started in Sydney. You're onto the Gold Coast. Can you give us a quick couple of minutes background, please?
Yeah, I just started with somebody after I left school, straight out of school in the real estate. Started in letting Clark, became property manager, became sales manager, and then ultimately, I went out and started my own business, just a single man operation. Then my brother Greg came and joined me, and we started to grow from there. We joined a franchise group at the time called ERA, which was an American group. So I got a wonderful perspective of real estate through a different set of eyes, American set of eyes. That group was ultimately bought out by Ray White in the early 1980s, at which time we then expanded into a second and third office. So we had 3 offices in Sydney. In '89, the owner of Ray White Surfers Paradise reached out to us to see if I knew anyone who might be interested in his office. He had a serious car accident and was looking for someone to take it over. So we came up, had a look at it, and just the whole concept of the Gold Coast, Queensland was pretty exciting. So we decided to sell our 3 offices down south, move up here. Took a reins at the end of '89 and been here 3 full decades and a bit. And certainly had a business that is diversified in many, many ways with multiple offices and different aspects of commercial and industrial project marketing, very large rent roll and a number of multiple offices. We branched out and did a bit of, we set up Ray White Marine, Ray White Guangzhou in China, Ray White Orlando in the US. So has kept it interesting.
Quite. I mean, you're only getting started, mate. Can I ask, Andrew, like the leadership at the beginning of your journey to leadership now, is there much difference for you personally and what you see in our industry, I guess, in particular?
Well, I'd like to think I'm the same human being, but as you grow, new influences come to the fore and you become more experienced. I mean, one time, at the peak, we had about 320 odd employees, and I remember someone saying, "Oh my God, how did you ever learn to do 320?" I said, "Well, it was pretty easy. I started with 1, me, and my brother joined, it was 2, and we put on the sector, it was 3." And I said, it's gone like that. You grow into these things. And so I was never trained ever to run a business of that size. And so there's had to be a lot of learning along the way. So look, I'd say the leadership has changed from the earlier days. It was very much an employer-employee mindset, and you would just kind of give people direction and instructions, and that would be followed. Today, it's more collaborative. I don't like anyone ever saying this is my boss or something. I go, no, we work together. And so I see my role largely as helping individuals grow and develop. And so that's a different mindset as a leader when you want people to grow rather than just think about dollars and cents, ROIs and the rest.
In saying that, do you have a particular style that you follow or that you're aware of that's unique to yourself at all as far as your leadership?
Oh, there would be a bit of old school in there, I guess, but I do like, I talk a lot in context rather than content. So a lot of people get bogged down in the details, and whilst they're very, very relevant, I try to help people to see the bigger picture, the context of whatever they're trying to achieve, and keep things as simple as possible. The complication is always in the detail. So I try to avoid that where I can, and I try to help everyone understand that there are no limitations other than limitations we place on ourselves. And so I've learned a long time ago that I can't get people to grow and develop unless they want to grow and develop. And so I've learned that, and if it is that somebody's not ready to grow, then I fully accept it and I don't try to push it. But I'm blessed to surround ourselves with people that just have great ambition to grow, and grow not only in business world, but grow personally.
Yeah, I love that. What do you think leaders get wrong, mate?
So people get.
What do you think leaders get wrong these days?
Often it's about themselves, what they want, what they're seeking, and I think there's an element of compassion that's been missing. I've got this really clear understanding about the journey that people have been on. You don't often know that journey, but you're born one day into a mum and dad, and that they take you home to a family, and then you get relatives, and then you get into school environments, and a whole lot of influences shape us along that journey. And then one day I cross paths with that person, and everybody's different, and just trying to put everybody into the same learning curve doesn't always work. You've got to kind of understand what the makeup of that person is and what's influenced them, so that you can work with that as well. Otherwise, you're often just going to be kind of bumping into each other instead of working side by side. So I think people don't think in terms of that. It's just simply, this is what you should be do it, and do it, and do as I say, sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a great pearl of wisdom, mate. When you're looking for leaders for your organisation, or a lot of the stuff that you're involved in, is there anything in particular that you look for from a leadership point of view?
Attitude's my number one, and you pick that up in your conversations with people. The longer you can spend time, I will often spend weeks, regular meetings, because you in your conversations about the silliest of little things, you get insights into people. So I want to find out what drives those people. I want to know what their ambitions in life are. I want to know their past experiences. As much as I can learn about them, because again, leadership is. I suppose there are some people that are just naturally born to leadership, but most people develop leadership, and much of that comes from past experiences and your past mentors and the like. So I always try to find as much as I can about that.
Now that makes sense. Do you have anybody over the years that you've looked up to, or been mentored by, or learned from, or read about, or is there anybody that's had a big influence on you as a leader?
I've had a lot. I seek it out. I look for it wherever I can. And so probably my very first person was a guy called Bob Pennington, who was with that American franchise group. And one of the most, and there were many things, but one of the most striking memories I have of Bob was when he asked me, "Who's Andrew Bell?" And I answered that in the normal sort of thing. I'm a real estate agent. I'm in Kensington, Sydney, and so on. And he could have looked at me strangely, and he said, "Really?" And I said, "All right, well, who's Bob Pennington?" And he went off into this long story, and he sort of talked about, well, Bob's a guy that raised by his parents, so-and-so and so-and-so. He's a great son to his parents, a loving, loving son. His brother and sister he has brothers and sisters, so-and-so and so. And he went on through this whole litany of things, including what he did in the community and what he did in his social life. And I went, oh my God, I've never even thought of myself in all of that. And so that was the beginning of me trying to understand who I was and who I wanted to be. The likes of Brian White has been a great business coach for me, but in many other respects as well. Had a lot of personal coaches over the years, all who've taught me some wonderful thought processes about life that have shaped me. The list is quite long, and I seek them out today. I love hearing fresh new thoughts, different ways of thinking. So I've had a lot, and I would like to think I'll continue seeking those people out for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yes, I get that. So can I ask, who is Andrew Bell?
Well, Andrew Bell's a gentleman that was born into an environment where he was to be seen but not heard, that he was to be very compliant. And he went to school and he was a kid that was always a year younger than everybody else, always felt intimidated by everybody else, never felt very smart, never felt he was a great achiever, went to work for a guy when he left school who always put him down, and could have been a guy that continued on a path of just being very, very ordinary. But whatever inspired me, I opened that first real estate office. It was a silly little thing, but I had the courage to do it. And then I met Bob Pennington, who just opened my mind up to what I could be, and that whatever I wanted in life, I could achieve. And then I did an SMI course, which was about choosing all your goals in life. And that really started to sort of fire up what I wanted in life. And from that point on, I had this great ambition to grow and develop, and for every day to have personal growth and personal achievement. I was fortunate to be in the real estate industry, which I love, but I see that it's just been a way to express my desires to live a very full life and to help others on their journeys in life as well. I contribute a lot back to the community. We've raised just a bit short of $5 million back for charities on the Gold Coast. And, I'm active now in the role as a board member of the Real Estate Institute of Australia and trying to work on this housing crisis and so on and so on. So I would like to think that I'm a good brother to my two brothers and to my sister, a great father to my children who I adore and love. I'd like to think I'm all-rounded, but I know that I've still so much to improve upon, still much to grow, but I've chosen to love life every single day, and whatever happens in my world, I fully accept I created it, I own it, and if I don't like it, I'll change it, but otherwise, I feel very content in the journey I've been on in life.
I love that. Is that a philosophy that you follow? Is it attached to any particular thing you've read, or the fact that you realise when you were younger you can do anything with your life?
I've learned to trust myself. I've learned that if I don't know how to do something now, I can find a way to do it. Within the spectrum of what I want to achieve in life, I would never, in my wildest dream, when I opened up that first little office, would I believe that we would have been running a business that sells, like we've been #1 office for Ray White Group internationally on 23 occasions. We came in second this year. That we'd have a rent roll of nearly 4,000 properties, that we'd have a staff of 320 odd people. I just never conceived it, but I worked towards just being the very best I could ever be.
Yeah.
And I always had visions of how do you go the next step? What's next? What's next? And so these were just progressions. And what I love about that journey is, nearly everything came with enormous challenges, enormous, sleepless nights. But I've learned in my journey that all of my growth, all of my personal development has come through my biggest challenges. So rather than avoiding them now, I embrace them. I take them on because I know this is me growing as a human being. I can't even imagine what it's like to be a president of the United States or Rupert Murdoch in his days, the sort of things that they would have confronted and have to face on a daily basis. But that's what we can do as humans. We grow into these positions if we push ourselves through those levels of discomfort.
What do you think the biggest challenges leaders in real estate, business owners, leaders in real estate are facing at the moment, and how should they or could they navigate through these challenges, or how have you done the same thing?
Well, I think you've got to know what type of business you're running. And there's, like 3 aspects, maybe 3 different type of models. There's an ego business. That would really horrify me. It's very much about how do I look, but what's the pretty outside picture and so on. It's usually an office that has a lot of kind of gorillas in there that everyone wants to dominate and so on. And so you've got to kind of figure out, is that the culture I want? Second is kind of a volume business, and and I think that's where a lot of people are going now, and I think it's a road that's going to cause a lot of pain down the track, but it's fill my office with as many human beings as possible. I'll clip the tick off as many people as I can, but it's not a business that grows and develops people. That's just a kind of, it's all about me getting a little piece of the cake, and I'm just out, I spend all day recruiting, and then a processing type business, which I think delivers a better outcome for clients, where you've got very clear systems and processes that are designed to get the best outcomes for the salespeople themselves and for the clients. And so you've got to know what business you're in. You can't be all three. And you've got to then go, I know how to make this work. I think the challenges, they're almost immeasurable at the moment, because we've got so much government intervention coming in. You see the pressures that are coming to bear on cost bases and so on. You're starting to see interventions of AI. I can see lots of different aspects attacking our core industry, but I have this underlying belief that at the end of the day, everybody needs a roof over their head, and most people aren't good at selling their own property. You might be able to buy it, some degree without an agent, but for most people, you can't really sell. You can't educate yourself. Yeah. Most people aren't equipped to promote properly. Yeah. And human nature is, the seller is always going to be pushing for a bigger price, and the buyer's always going to try and buy it less. So I think there's going to be a place always for a negotiator, but we're going to have to get a lot better at marketing. We're going to have to get a lot better at our processing of the sale, because it doesn't land in your lap anymore. We've had a couple of good years, but it'll get harder again, and you're going to have to be very, very good at what you do. Yeah,
I agree totally. What is, if you don't mind me asking, what is your Achilles, if there is one, as a leader still? What do you is there an aspect of your leadership where you still struggle even after so many years?
I don't know if it's a weakness, but pride's a very big thing for me. Right. Even today, I think to myself, would my parents be proud of me in all that I do? And that can sometimes steer you off making good logical decisions on things. Yeah. So that'd be a bit of an Achilles tendon for me. And perhaps, the longer you stay in a job, the harder it is to be nimble and kind of flexible. That's physical as well as mental. It's a natural thing, and I'm a little bit more cautious. Ours is a very big business; it's a big ship, and so I'm less likely to quickly snap at making a decision on something. I'll go, I've got to feel this out a little bit more. Maybe we'll let someone else do a bit of the testing before we do it, and so on. But I'm overcoming that, because I am in the midst now of an element of succession. I'm a bit like a Murdoch, I suppose. No, that's probably not a good analogy, but I am in the midst of bringing a whole lot of the next level of leadership into our business, kind of moving more into a chairman's role, where I'll still play a very active role in guiding the leadership team, but I'm going to let the youth do all the driving on a daily basis, and I'll kind of just mentor those leaders. So pretty excited about that, and that'll give me some more longevity in the industry, but the business to have all that fresh, young, driven, passionate energy.
That's exciting, mate. And those emerging leaders that are coming through, do you have not so much a criteria, but a thing you're really looking for the next evolution of the Ray White service paradise?
Most of these, by good fortune, as well as some work, have all come from within. Right. So we experimented once from without, and culturally, you've got to have the right fits. So I'm very blessed. I have a son-in-law who's incredibly talented, that He's was the number one salesperson in Queensland last year. It's Matt Gates, who runs our Sanctuary Cove. Well, it's his Sanctuary Cove office now. I handed that over to him a year or so ago, and he's doing extraordinarily well. He's just an amazing human being. And Matt's coming in to take on some more leadership in another part of our office in Hope Island. And then a gentleman called Michael Andrews, who started as a team leader with me, and then he progressed. I could see this incredible talent in him, and offered him position as our head of sales for the whole operation. Recently, 2.5 years ago, he found out he was having a baby unexpectedly and with his wife, and he wanted to be a great father and a great husband, and he didn't feel he could put the time and effort into the office at that time. So he's been CEO of Ray White Queensland for the last 2.5 years, and my God, he's grown. Yeah. And so he's coming back to join us as well in a role of CEO of our residential operations. So our head of property management has been elevated. We've freed her up. She's really going to take a lead role in growth and development of the rent roll, and she's been with me just on 10 years. And so these people are successful in their own right. I've allowed them to be their own people. I've encouraged them to be their own people, but they understand the business, they understand the culture, they understand what's made this business be so successful for so long. Yeah. And they know how to run with it from there, and they'll have my full backing and support.
It sounds like it's in good hands, mate. Mate, 2 more questions. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. What do you really love and are passionate about with your leadership?
Well, look, I run a course once a year that I call it the Success Course. And I share with my guys, the people that I have in that course, I share with them all the secrets that I've learned from so many different people. I pulled it together to share with these people. What I get my greatest joy out of what I do now is seeing people grow. Yeah. And I see it on a daily basis. It can be the smallest thing. Just before I came in to have this discussion with you, I heard one of our guys on the phone, preparation for an auction on Thursday, and I heard what he said. And he'd been struggling to get his language right recently. We sat down and spent some time talking about it, and I heard him on the phone as I walked past, and I thought, you've nailed it. Yeah. And I thought, I love to be able to share that with this guy, but I love the fact he was willing to listen and grow. So I see that the sprouts all around the office. Yep. I see people that are growing and developing, and I just love thinking I could be a little bit part of helping them on that journey. So it's growing people that I love most.
Yeah, that's very special, mate. Last question, sum up leadership in one word.
Example. I think I've told my daughters this, I've told other people just having children, I said, you can talk all day long and you can tell kids how they should be, but what they watch is how you speak to a fellow family member or the waitress at a restaurant or a person at a check-in. They see how you interact with people. And leadership is not just about imparting incredible thoughts, and that's important too, but it's about living it and breathing it. They've got to see the authenticity of it and go, that person inspires me. That's the type of person I'd like to be. Yeah. That's what leadership is for me.
I love it, mate. Thanks for that. If you've been watching, that's a lesson in leadership there, guys. Thanks, Andrew, for your time and your wisdom, mate, and your experience. I mean, we could talk for hours, and that success course sounds like a great course. I don't know if you've ever made it public, but you could probably do that and create a winner. If you want any more information about leadership or leadership in general, just hit me up at jet@jetxavier.com and I'll be happy to help you. Other than that, we'll see you again soon. Cheers.